session on the impact of investments in health and other domains from the lens of an investor. It is my distinct pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker for this session, Dr. Anand Govindaluri, Founding Director and CEO of Govin Capital, Singapore. Dr. Anand is an expert in the field of investments and has deep experience in driving sustainable and impactful investments, especially in healthcare and other vital sectors. Let's welcome Dr. Anand with a warm round of applause as he takes the stage for his keynote. Welcome, Dr.
Good evening, and I'm delighted to be here. Thank you very much. Thank you organizers for extending the invitation to me to come and participate in this wonderful summit. Over the next 15-20 minutes, I'm going to share with you my perspective about investments. Before that, I would like to share a little bit about myself. I was born in Kakinada, studied in Visakhapatnam. I'm a product of Visakhapatnam Valley School. I left India in 1997 and I settled in Singapore. The past 28 years I've been in Singapore. I'm the first Indian to join the Singapore government in 2000 and worked with the government of Singapore for close to about 11 years, working on different aspects of investments. I managed close to about few $100 million on behalf of the government of Singapore. And these investments were basically made in biotechnology companies, pharmaceutical companies, into diagnostic companies, medtech companies, manufacturing companies, so on and so forth. My expertise has been mostly on life sciences, and for the last 10 years I've been investing in digital health and education companies. So in total over the last 2 decades, probably I may have invested in more than 70 companies globally. Of the 70 companies that I've invested globally, I'm going to share from those 70 companies what some of these companies have created impact, how they have created impact, and also what is the key message for all of us today, because today startup is a buzzword. Everybody is talking about startups, everybody is talking about innovation, and we also basically have a lot of youth. The youth are focused towards building startups. The government is also encouraging everyone to get into startups. But in the craze of building startup companies, what we are seeing is many of them are focused on generating valuation and not value. The value creation path is often missed out because in the process of making money, you actually realize that somewhere the value creation part is either missed out or is destroyed or it's sacrificed. So I'm going to share some examples as to how value creation can be done in a startup, and also how the key message is for every founder to look at building value first, and that will lead to valuation rather than the vice versa. Secondly, it's also important to understand the purpose of doing a startup. What is the purpose? Is it to build your career, or is it to build some sort of a business, or is it to essentially make create an impact by helping the person next to you, or by helping the society or the country at large? So these are some important points that will be discussed over the next 15-20 minutes. Next slide, please. Before we go into impact investments, we must understand what is the meaning of impact. The meaning of impact has been clearly defined. In fact, I is invest responsibly. It is important that all of us actually have responsibility towards making investments which are ethical. And by ethical investments, what I mean is that invest in companies, invest in founders for the sake of, not just for the sake of parking your capital there, but something where you can create impact, solutions that can address the needs of the society. M stands for mobile. Why mobile? Is because essentially most of the investments that we are doing right now are digital centric, and we also need to see that how the investments will reach to a larger section of the society as much as possible. It has to be positive oriented. You never invest in negative oriented companies. It has to generate positive cash flows eventually. There needs to be a strong action plan. It has to focus on change, and then also what is important is that the T part is the most important, because according to me the T part is inclusivity. How do you basically make an investment to bring society together, not to destroy society? So investments, impact investments are the most important criteria whereby you actually help build an inclusive society. And all these things are basically outlined in the sustainable, aligned with the sustainable development goals that are outlined by the UN. Next slide, please. Before I make an investment, I want to share with you what do I look for in a company. It is important that there has to be a vision that has to be outlined clearly. I have seldom invested in companies where there is no vision. And what is a vision? The vision is essentially the big picture that a founder or a CEO or chairman of a company wants to achieve over the next few years. And how do you actually deliver that vision? That is actually what is called as mission, the action plan that you put in place. So many a times you find that founders or scientists, they end up finding solutions. And then later they actually realize that they don't know what problem they're trying to solve. So that's the challenge. You should actually understand the problem first. Only when you understand the problem statement, then you're able to find an effective solution. And that's why having a clear vision with a mission statement is extremely important. Along with vision and mission, it is also important nowadays because there's so much of money that is floating around in India, and India is a very fertile ground for investments. It is important that you also define the values which will inspire your organization people to be with you for a long period of time. So vision, mission and values essentially define the core ethos or the core character of an investment. So whenever I make an investment, I look at these three things first. Then only I decide whether I have to go into that particular company or not. Because you have so many opportunities to invest. You have multiple opportunities to invest in many countries. So why come to Visakhapatnam all the way? I can actually happily invest in Singapore or in Southeast Asia or more comfortable countries outside. There must be some reason as to why we are investing in India. And so I think these are some of the things that we take a look at. Next slide, please. I wanted to give some examples. These companies, what their vision statement is. Like say in the case of Google, what is the vision is to provide access to world information at a click. So most of the times the vision statements are simple, easy to understand by everyone, by large masses, so that, and then accordingly they work with that particular vision statement. So in the case of essentially Apple, they say that the future of healthcare is in your hands. So you'll have to think through if you're building a startup company or if you're getting into a business, you have to understand that your vision statement has to be simple, which can be understood by your grandmother or even by a child. If they don't understand what your vision statement is, I would suggest that you rethink about it, whether you really meant. Most of the time, scientists who pitch to me, they give very complex vision statements. It puts me to sleep. I myself being a scientist, I actually realize that scientists are very long-winded in their conversations. They speak for long, and they also essentially make simple statements also they find very difficult to make. I think in business what you have to realize is that the very first thing you have to do is to simplify your thought process. Simplify the problem that you're trying to solve and also the solution that you're going to come for the problem statement. Then only it becomes easier for you to raise capital, and that has been one of my mantras for success, is simplicity. As what Mr. Narayana Murthy once said, that simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. Next slide, please. I had the good fortune of interacting with both the founders of Happiest Minds as well as for Tata Trust. In the case of Tata Trust, as you all know, started by late Sri Ratan Tata. I was his private secretary, and he is the first Indian citizen to get an honorary Singapore citizenship. During that time, I had the opportunity to spend time with him as his secretary, and I also escorted him to the president's office in Singapore. Prime Minister's office in Singapore, which is called Istana. In my interaction with Mr. Ratan Tata, whoever has interacted with Mr. Tata, you'll realize one thing, that he's a man of very few words. And whenever he speaks with utmost clarity and with simple words, so that anybody, whether you're a chairman, CEO or a layman, you're able to understand what he wants to achieve. The other thing that I actually learned with Mr. Tata, by interacting with Mr. Tata, is that he's not only a man of few words, but he actually implements whatever he says. And let me tell you what I mean by that. So while I was carrying his bags and writing the notes, because that was my job when I was in Singapore as a private license officer, on the way back to the airport, I did ask him in Singapore, how do I get in touch with you? So he said, I'll give you my personal email and also my number. And I said that, okay, let me test. So I was a very young officer then, and this is about 20 years back, 15 years back. And I said to myself that, okay, let me see if I can send an email to him and whether he will actually follow what he said. And I sent an email to him. Believe me or not, in less than 6 hours, I got a response from him. That is the hallmark of a great leader. Great leader becomes great not because of intelligence. A great leader becomes great because of character. A great leader becomes great because of the values that they follow. And the words that they say, they have to implement it. That is what I've learned from Mr. Ratan Tata in my interaction with him. Tata Trust, we work with them very closely on various aspects of healthcare. And Happiest Minds is another company started by a good friend of mine by name Ashok Soota. Ashok Soota became a billionaire twice. At the age of 70, he decided to start a company. He took that company public, and then at the age of 75, he started another company called Happiest Minds. And that also, in fact, it took public. It's one of the fastest growing billion dollar companies. So in my interaction with Mr. Soota, I asked him the same question, what motivates you? He says, spirituality and happiness. Simple words. And I asked him why he put the name Happiest Minds. He said, that's because not only I want to be happy, I want every staff, every people who interacts with me, whether they're a customer or whether they're my staff or whether they're my investor, they must be happy. That kind of vision is extremely difficult to implement. So my dear friends, impact investment is not just about making money. Impact investment is actually about making everyone happy. That's what I learned from Mr. Soota. Next slide, please. So what are the 5 secrets of great startups? And this is based on my experience. Number 1 is that a startup founder never works alone. He works with the help of a team. And only when you have a strong team, then you are able to essentially build a company which can last for long. You also actually need to understand that to raise capital from investors, it is important that you build a strong board of directors. Many a times I've seen that founders have the relatives, either their brother, the sister, wife, father, mother, as directors. And in my opinion, while that is okay, I have seldom invested in such companies. I have invested only in those companies where the board of directors are experienced professionals from the industry who have the ability to vet the business plan and also at the same time stand up to say what's right and what's wrong. You don't need yes man people when you are building a great startup. You need actually people who can add value, appreciate your hard work if you're going in the right direction. And if you're not going in the right direction, suggest or give feedback. I met some great leaders in different parts of my life at different times who actually are unable to take feedback. They may be very great people or great CEOs, but they cannot take feedback. And the moment an employee gives a feedback to the CEO's pride or ego is hurt, and the employee is fired immediately. I've seen so many instances in my life, in many of the companies that I've come across. So this essentially, again, goes to talk about the character of the CEO or the character of the leader. And so I think it is important that you choose who you want to work with. You should be the maker of your own destiny. You should not allow someone else to dictate who you have to work for. If you don't like a particular organization or a particular boss for whatever reason, silently you can walk out. You don't have to actually make a noise, but silently you can walk out and choose who you want to work with. The next is the problem statement. Many of the times we look at solutions and then find a problem. But I always invest in companies where the problem statement is first established and then the solution comes up. 99% of my time is spent in understanding the problem. And I'm fortunate to be an Indian because I'm born in a country which is a luxury of problems. I've got problems everywhere, wherever you go, whether it is traffic problem, or whether it is stampede issue, or whether it is agriculture issue, whether it is a healthcare issue, or whether it is a job issue, a lot of problems every day. So it's good to have problems because only when you have problems, then you become innovative, you become entrepreneurial, you become inquisitive. And that is why I think it is important sometimes to recognize the value of problems. So thank everyone who have created problems. And I'll tell you why it is important to thank. My very first investment in my life is a company called BioX. BioX is a spin-off company from University College London. And as a young officer, when I recommended this investment, it's a cancer vaccine company, to the government of Singapore, my investment committee, I was rejected. That's because the company was not making money. It is in the space called gene therapy, and it was very early stage. I did my due diligence, I did some more homework. The second time again, I went to my investment committee. The second time again, it was rejected, declined. Obviously, I felt sad because that's the first investment of my life. I was recommending to the investment committee and it was not going through. The third time when I went, my investment committee approved it. And we made an investment in BioX. Fast forward in 8 years' time, BioX got acquired by Amgen for $1 billion. And that became my first unicorn in biotech. So I have 2 unicorns in biotechnology. My first unicorn is a spin-off from UCL. So when I generated my first unicorn, everybody who rejected me, I thanked them. I sent an email to them. Of course, I made a lot of money for the government, and so they also started noticing my work. My second company that became a unicorn is a company from Hyderabad. They're into pharmaceutical manufacturing. And you must understand that Singapore now is very close to India, but at one point of time, it was difficult for Singaporeans to understand what India is all about. Because they had a perception that India is actually a very difficult market. That perception has changed now. And India is one of the most fertile grounds, also the fastest growing economy. But I'm talking about 20 years back when I started my career as an investment. So I met the Honorable Chief Minister, Sri Chandrababu Naidu Garu, in 2002 January. I remember very well. And he was extremely cooperative. And he said, you must come and make investments in Andhra Pradesh, combined Andhra Pradesh at that point of time. And I made several investments under his leadership. And one of the companies became a unicorn. That was my second unicorn that I saw. Dr. Reddy's Labs, Aurobindo, Matrix, Apollo, so on and so forth. So it was one of the best periods to make investments. So to make money also, you need to have a good leader, good timing, and also lots of capital. Then only you can make money. Last but not the least is, in fact, actually I think the next point I wanted to highlight is if you want to build a great startup, you should emphasize on intellectual property. You should emphasize on product innovation and not process innovation. I'm a strong believer in product innovation. Why? Because when building a company is like a battlefield, it's like playing a chess game. You have to strategize, and the competition is quite wide. So if you are in a me-too play, you'll be easily, I would say, lost. But if you are in a product innovation game, it may take a long time for product approvals or for seeing the success, but you will be a winner, you will be actually a king for a long period of time. And that product innovation story is what I have seen in the West. In the West, out of the 70 companies, almost 50% of my investments, or more than that, are in the West, US, Europe. And they succeed because of product innovation, intellectual property. So I emphasize that if you want to build a strong startup, we should look at product innovation. Last but not the least, fundraising. Capital is extremely important. I think in next session, I think Dr. Ravi is going to moderate. and we are going to have a discussion about how to raise capital and what needs to be raised capital. Now, to raise capital, you need to be a storyteller. You need to actually articulate the vision. Now, what I'm seeing in Visakhapatnam, I can only confine myself to Visakhapatnam because the summit is being held here, is our Telugu people extremely smart, extremely intelligent, research-oriented, and medhavi, like what they say in Telugu. Everything is in the head. But the moment they open their mouth, they are not able to articulate. మాట్లాడలేకపోతున్నారు, స్టోరీ చెప్పలేకపోతున్నారు. అండ్ చాలామంది మాట్లాడినప్పుడు ఎలా మాట్లాడతారంటే వాళ్ళు ఇన్వెస్టర్ ముందు మాట్లాడినప్పుడు వాళ్ళు డాన్స్ చేస్తారు. ఒకవైపు నుంచి ఇంకో వైపు నుంచి వాళ్ళు ఐ కాంటాక్ట్ పెట్టరు, చేతులకు బాగా ఇదేంటి షేక్ చేస్తారు, బాడీ లాంగ్వేజ్ సరిగా ఉండదు. సో ఫర్ ఎన్ ఇన్వెస్టర్, ఈజ్ ఇన్వెస్టింగ్ నాట్ జస్ట్ ఇన్ ద బిజినెస్ బట్ ఈజ్ ఆల్సో ఇన్వెస్టింగ్ ఇన్ ద ఫౌండర్. You need to actually generate confidence. You need to understand that investment is not just about capital going from one place to another in any article. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah, this is some of the investments that I've made. Next slide, please. Digital investments. Control Bionex is a company in Australia that I've invested. I'm going to share a video about Control Bionex because that's connected to impact. And many other companies out here. Next slide, please. EdTech also I've invested in several companies. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah, you can play the video here. Yeah, play both the videos. Yeah, first video. Next slide, please. The next, yeah. There's a very beautiful story behind this investment. I'll share with you after this video is played.
I just fell in love with her immediately when I met her. I really love her, she says.
So Maeve is a very positive, mature young woman, always in high spirits. She's very social, she's very funny, she just
the child has a speech issue and is suffering from cerebral palsy.
Peers.
So Maeve is diagnosed with a neuromuscular condition called spinal muscular atrophy.
Well, the progression of Maeve's disease happened sort of from the age of 1. Her weakness became stronger.
Well, Maeve has very special, unique qualities. She's a very special little girl. She lights up the room. She brings everyone together.
For Maeve, how we got to know Maeve was we were asked by the district office to come in and take a look at Maeve and see how we can support her to access her curriculum, look at her current technologies.
At that time, we worked with the CAT team, and they were incredible because this is something they do all the time. This is something we've never heard of. There's never been anything like that.
It's a very important one. What is your favorite emoji? These are your favorites?
So she can't talk, but it's a laptop that's talking.
The angel.
So the laptop essentially reads the thoughts.
Okay.
With the help of a biovariable, that's the neural node. You can just stop the video now. You can pause the video. Yeah. So you can see the child has got a dystrophy disorder, muscular dystrophy disorder, is not able to speak and it can only think through. So what the company has done is they have invented a neural node It's a neural node is a muscle node that you put on the arms or on the muscles where it is not working, and it communicates with the brain, and through the brain essentially the laptop speaks. So in case if I want water, and then but I actually think about it, and then the computer speaks for me. And so who is the founder? The founder is not a scientist. The founder is Peter Ford. Peter Ford is a newsreader. Peter Ford is a newsreader, and he met Stephen Hawking. He got inspired by Stephen Hawking's life, and then he said that he's going to do something for the disabled people, and that's how he started the company Control Bionics. And this is one of my portfolio companies. And that is the power of impact investment. So when you do technological innovations, it has to help the society. So in this case, the impact is very clearly seen. Not only they make money, but they're also basically solving problems, especially in healthcare. And at the same time, the product is approved both by the US as well as by European countries. So it's one of the very few products to be actually approved by US FDA as well as by the European. So in speech therapy, patients suffering from cerebral palsy or those who are having muscular dystrophy issues, communication is a big problem. And so through the help of this technology, you can see how technology actually is disruptive and helping in essentially creating an impact in the life of a human being. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Yeah. Next slide. This is a local company in Visakhapatnam. Two students who came to me when they were in engineering college. They actually came up with an IoT technology for logistics industry. And I said to them that, okay, you are coming up with an IoT for the logistics industry, why don't you do it for the ambulance industry? Because the number of road accidents that's happening in Andhra Pradesh is on the high side. And I realized that the ambulances take more than an hour to reach. And by the time the patient is treated, it's definitely more than an hour. So what happens, there's something what is called as a golden hour. So within the first 60 minutes or 45 minutes itself, if a doctor intervenes, he's able to save the life. Most of the patients' lives are gone or they are half paralyzed because the doctor is not able to intervene in the first 30-45 minutes. So we wanted to actually come up with a solution, and that's how we came up with this IoT technology, which is patented. And now we have collaboration with the University of Florida. They are one of our investors in this company, along with me. So we seed invested this company in Visakhapatnam. And the idea is essentially to help ambulances communicate, patients in ambulances communicate with hospitals in a real-time basis. Next slide, please. We have some examples in education also as to how education is actually being democratized. One of my companies out of Singapore, they offer edtech solutions in mobile phones, so that the whole concept is about making education accessible and affordable anytime, anywhere. Next slide, please. Another company which is into augmented reality and virtual reality, which is also making education more seamless. Can you play the video, please? The future of education is going to be where students are not no need to go to the classrooms anywhere. The classrooms will come walking to the living hall of the students.
But recall, remain as hot as the surface of the sun. That is our planet. Can anybody tell me how old our planet is?
Learning is going to become more and more seamless, according to me, going forward. And so you can learn anywhere, anytime with the help of technological revolution. So this is a US company that we have invested in. I'm on the advisory board of this particular company. And all through cloud technology, you're able to essentially communicate and impart education, the best of education globally. Okay, you can pause this video, go to the next video, please. In the interest of time, I'm moving a bit fast. Next video, please. Yes. So you see the beauty of spatial recognition in AR and VR, where you can actually train people in their gardens. So if you have to offer training for microscopes or complex instruments, no need to go to the hospital and to see the instrument. You can actually capture the instrument and train virtually.
Generated within the hood, and removing them as air flows into the hood and then out via the laboratory exhaust system.
So the entire environment is actually captured and it is ported out. And
now we want to show you how to properly move the C-arm in and out and end up in the same place. The classic part of this whole story is that I just learned this trick last year, and I've been a radiographer for well over 35 years.
Thank you very much. Next slide, please. Let's go to the next slide. That's now. This is another company in Singapore that we've invested where there is an aging population. Essentially, to address aging, how do you get nurses post their working hours to help elderly folks? Please play the video.
Hi, I'm John. I'm CEO and founder of EBCare. We started the idea of EBCare while we in hospital. I saw a lot of patients spend a few hours coming to hospital for a simple wound dressing.
Last year, I got a chance to read the population white paper. It stated that by year 2030, our elderly population will reach 900,000. It is a big number. I started to think about who will take care of us when we are getting old. Nursing home will be one option, but most of us would prefer to stay.
Especially in foreign countries, there's a dearth of doctors, a dearth of nurses. So essentially what we're trying to do is we have created a platform whereby we can address the aging population to nurses after working hours. And these are all accredited nurses. Just on the click of an app, you're able to essentially book the time of a nurse, and the nurse will come and treat a patient for whatever the indication it is at the home, comfortable. Next slide, please. You can pause it now.
Easy to pay.
Next slide, please. I'm a strong believer of women empowerment because whatever has happened in my life is because of my mother. My mother used to sell newspapers and milk packets. She worked very hard to raise me and my younger brother. My father was a scientist at Andhra University, and we always had a deficiency of vitamin M at home. And so my mother had actually pledged her jewelry, and with the help of that, she not only bought a flat, but she also actually helped me to study and sent me to Singapore. I'll give you an example. I'm a rank holder and a scholar. After finishing my studies at All Institute of Medical Sciences, I got scholarship to go to Singapore. So Singapore University said that you can, and that's in cancer biology, they said that once you come here, we'll give you a scholarship. So for the flight ticket, you have to pay on your own. So I went to my home and I asked my dad, he gave me 5,000 rupees. He said, that's all I have. And I asked my mother went to the kitchen. So ఇంట్లో కిచెన్ రైస్ డబ్బా ఉంటుంది, రైస్ డబ్బాలో చేసి పెట్టి ఒక చిన్న ఓల్డ్ పౌచ్ పైన డైనింగ్ టేబుల్ పెట్టి ఇట్ వాజ్ అన్ ఎంటైర్ సేవింగ్స్. So with the help of that savings, actually I bought my ticket to Singapore, and that's how I came to Singapore. It is extremely important to understand behind the success of every entrepreneur is the hand of a woman, especially that of a mother or a wife. And I'm very grateful to actually be born in a family where my mother has been my biggest mentor. And that's why I believe that women empowerment isn't about making women strong. We don't have to make women strong. They're already strong intrinsically. It's about changing the way the world perceives what this strength is all about. Next slide, please. So I'll tell you what I'm doing through my foundation. This is all my foundation work. Okay, this is something which Patty White and Peter Garland, so they have come up with technologies to eradicate beta thalassemia and sickle cell anemia. So we have got them to India, and with the collaboration with Tata's, we have come up with a product where you can actually detect malaria in less than a minute for 60 rupees, and also do thalassemia detection and beta sickle cell anemia detection in a very easy manner. Okay, can you play the other video, please? The second video. Yeah.
If a child has sickle cell disease in Africa,
only about 20% who see this.
Sickle cell is a disease where the red blood cell essentially becomes sickle cell. So the blood doesn't flow properly. When the blood doesn't flow properly, it leads to a lot of issues.
Then grow up getting pneumonias, sepsis. If they have the dual gene, they are actually more susceptible to malaria and die from malaria. The human toll is unimaginable.
There are definitely countries in Africa where 25% of all child mortality is being caused by sickle cell disease. And if you can diagnose them, 70% of those kids would live. And if they're not diagnosed, more than half die by their 5th birthday. So, we're talking 750 kids a day are dying from sickle cell disease.
Close to 50,000 newborns every year come with sickle cell disease. For us, and for sickle cell disease patients, the first entry point is newborn screening.
The traditional diagnostic using HPLC or these larger machines were only located in the big centers. So, for example, in Ghana, you only find it in Accra and Kumasi. We would have to transport the baby and the mother, take a bus, take them to the city center, wait for a day or two to get the results, and then transport them back. So having a point-of-care diagnostic is going to revolutionize the number of patients we can screen and diagnose.
Yes, you can stop the video.
And therefore keep alive.
So the development of this particular technology happened in India with the group collaboration with Tata Group. Next slide, please. Next slide. 3 women from Bangalore where we invested in their company because they saw one of their newborn babies expire. That's because of infection. So how do you essentially come up with technologies whereby without touch in a newborn baby you're able to measure the heart rate? And so this is into neonatal breathing, and so that's a company based in Bangalore where we have invested in this company called Ray Baby. And they're also working on essentially on smart ICUs. So during COVID, essentially, it was extremely difficult for patients, especially elderly people and babies, to go to the hospital. So we converted homes into ICUs, and with the help of AI-based signal processing technology, where you can measure the breathing rate, and through the breathing rate and through Bluetooth technology, you're able to transport it and send it across to the doctors. Next slide, please. Yeah, next slide. Next slide, please. Yeah, this is one of the foundations that I support in Lucknow, where Samina Bano, who is actually from IIM Bangalore, we help in basically marginally improving education for marginal children. Next slide, please. Next slide. The Sheetal Mahajan, we have actually through our foundation, we have supported her academy. She is a mother of 2, not getting funding from her in-laws or support from her in-laws or from parents. So we actually helped along with the Tata Group. Can you play the video? From Brazil as a dedication to me.
I would like to say thank you to all my sponsors who stood for me since my first jump from North Pole to South Pole.
She's the first mother to jump skydive across North Pole, South Pole and the 7 continents.
Supported me for these last 2 continents of South Africa and Brazil. I am super thankful Govin Group for this last push so that I can finish my 7 continents jump. And yay, finally India did it for you. And I'm very happy that in the world, I don't know how many women have
Congratulations. So you complete.
Yes, I completed.
You completed.
That ends my presentation. So what I want to actually share with all of you is that when you make impact investment, it's not just about making money. It's about changing the life of the person next to you and using technology, using innovation, using your capital in a responsible manner so that the society benefits and the country benefits. Thank you very much for giving me an opportunity.